everybody. My name is Ben Rhodes. I'm the Senior Vice President with CAMS. Today, I have Johanna, Patrick, and Walt with me today to talk a little bit about choice properties. Walt, Patrick, take it away.
All right, thank you, Ben. Choice Property Resources was established in 1999, so we're about to celebrate our 25th anniversary. We're pretty excited about that.
Hey.
I'll start out by giving you a bit of the history of the company, briefly, so that you have some idea who you're dealing with. So we represent over 500,000 households on over 4,000 properties, such as the ones that you manage. We are a turnkey operation, so what is it that we do? We negotiate internet and cable agreements on behalf of condo associations and some HOAs. And these agreements wind up paying our clients significant amounts of money. So depending on the size of the property, that's what is, I guess, the primary indicator of how much money is available to each of your properties. So I said we're a turnkey operation. So what happens here is that if the board, your board, allows us to represent them, and all these decisions are made by the board, if they allow us to represent them, then we vet the property. So we'll go to each provider in that area and we'll say, what is it worth to you to be known as the preferred provider at XYZ property? Inevitably, they'll come back to us with what we'll call bids. We assemble that information and we develop a recommendation, which your board is not obligated to follow, but normally you'll look at that vendor proposal summary, and there'll be a lot more money on one side of the page than there is on the other side of the page. So the board will normally gravitate toward more money. So how does the money come to the association? It comes in two forms generally. It comes in the form of what they call a door fee, which is actually a misnomer. It's not a fee at all. It's a check that shows up at the door. So the provider will take the number of doors in the community times a number between $50 and $200, and voila, a check shows up at the door. The other way that income is achieved by the community is through what we call revenue share. So each time that one of the residents pays their cable or internet bill, a small percentage of that money comes back to the association on a quarterly basis. So this is regular income that comes in every 3 months. We call it mailbox money. It just shows up. There's nothing anybody has to do to get it. There is no investment on the part of the association or the board, and really no work to be done by the board outside of allowing us to represent the board. So we present all those options that we see with our recommendation. Again, you're not obligated to follow, or your board's not obligated to follow a recommendation. Generally, they will. When the board says, okay, that's the one we want to be the preferred, again, not the only, but the preferred provider, then we take that document back to that preferred provider and we tell them, prepare the final documents. That's an agreement between the provider and the board. We vet that agreement for language that is favorable to the board. And then we present it to the board, usually through DocuSign, for final signature. Once the board signs off on it, we send that back to the provider, and within 90 days of counter signature, money begins to flow. Again, it's effortless money. It's money that is coming back to the community for services that the community is using anyway. Everybody pays their cable and internet bills. You might as well get some money back from the companies. So I think it's important to mention that we do not represent any vendor. We represent CAMS and its properties. That's it. We don't do any side business with any vendors. I also want to let you know that if your community is over 100 doors, many times we are able to negotiate a complimentary line or two for a common area such as a clubhouse or a pool house, but it has to be a common area. And that's not a guarantee, but generally speaking, we're able to do that when we get over 100 doors. So with that, Patrick, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Absolutely. And, after those contracts are signed, that money does, like Walt said, starts to flow within 90 days. But that's not where we stop. We collect, we track, we disperse all those payments. We advise when contracts are due. We go shopping once again on your behalf at the end of the contract. We acquire marketing materials, we handle property-wide telecom issues, and we recoup any missing funds from any pre-existing agreements. We're there for you throughout the duration of the agreement. And now this is a unique partnership as well, and that there's zero cost to the association. We're a pay-for-performance company, and we only share in the revenue that we help generate. Some of the most common questions we get are, hey, what's the catch? What's the catch? This sounds way too good to be true. To be honest, there is no catch. It's by virtue of Choice's partnership with CAMS that your associations will qualify for these opportunities. As was previously stated, vendors are willing to pay for the increased exposure. This, at the end of the day, is a marketing agreement, and that's what they're looking for. They're looking for a blurb in a newsletter, a link on a homepage, a flyer and a welcome packet, maybe even in a common area, all of which is provided by Choice. So at the end of the day, you got to remember there's no hidden fees or cost to the association. It's not going to increase, nor is it going to decrease your cost of services. The association is not responsible for providing any services to its residents. Residents are still free to choose whoever they want to use as a service provider, and there's no restrictions on how this money's spent. Any questions?
I have one. So typically, what types of properties are eligible for these types of programs?
What we look for properties really, we target properties usually 50 doors, 50 units and above is what we're looking for. Street ownership is still up in the air, correct, Walt? But
Yeah.
We would like to focus on road ownership, properties that own their own streets, and 50 plus units.
And does it matter if it's a townhome, condo, single family home type of community?
It does not. It does not. We're working with them all.
So
That's fantastic.
does a bulk service agreement already need to be in place with a community, or
No.
can you work with anybody?
Yeah, we can work with anybody. I will tell you that we found that there are some areas where bulk is popular, but generally speaking, these are not bulk arrangements. These allow the residents to get their services wherever they care to get them. So they're not stuck with one provider. But if the community prefers bulk, excuse me, we can certainly provide it. That's not an issue.
Absolutely.
So if they sign a marketing agreement, say with AT&T, are
Mhm.
are the homeowners still allowed to use Spectrum or Comcast
Yes.
if even though they have an AT&T bulk agreement, but they'd still be compensated for the AT&T?
Yes. Yeah.
You got to be careful with the bulk agreements because that can throw people off a lot. What we're doing here is we're really focusing on revenue share, where we're generating revenue for these communities. Yes, everybody's free to use whatever service they'd like, but obviously it's in the best interest of the community for them to use that preferred provider because, if, as Walt said, a portion of that payment is going back to the community every
So
quarter.
And I don't know if you want to talk numbers. I know we had a condominium that signed an agreement with y'all that made a hefty sum. Do you want to share some of the numbers that these associations may see, or is that?
Well, no, we'd be happy to share them, but it's got to be in sort of a generalized thing because
Yeah.
it's the specific association and the number of units that generates this whole thing. So, we've seen. I'm working with a community now that's got over 2,000 houses in it, so that's going to be a humongous amount of money. Generally, if you're looking at a 125 to 150 unit property, I'm hesitant to put a number on it, but
Do a range.
yeah, it can approach 100,000 pretty easily. So, it's
Yeah.
it's adult money. This turns into adult money over a period of time.
Absolutely. We just
And that amount encompasses the initial door fee and then the reoccurring every quarter after
Yes.
that for
Yes.
10 years, or it just
10 years.
depends on the property.
Generally speaking, it's 10 years. That's the common one.
correct. We just had a property up in Raleigh close for, I mean, over almost $120,000 there, and I know they received an upfront check for over $20,000, which I think sparked some rumors up there, and I received some phone calls from other community managers. So the money is real. The money is real, and
Yeah.
Raleigh can attest to that. So
No, it's
it's exciting
definitely real
times.
money. Definitely real
That's
money.
fantastic. Yes, we've absolutely seen those dollars coming through on, so we've had 4 of them closed so far, with many more in the books in the pipeline to have another completion
Yeah.
with you
What-
all. And it's been a fantastic partnership. We're so glad to have had CAMS connect with you all and have our communities be possibly eligible to obtain this money that they can use with, like you said, no restrictions.
Yep.
Yep.
So as a trusted service provider with CAMS, how should individuals contact you if they are interested in getting more information?
They can obviously email me. I've probably already emailed everybody already, but feel free to get a hold of me. My email is, Johanna, is my email attached on the website?
I believe so, and I think you have it here in your slides too. I was gonna, oh, maybe not.
That would make too much sense.
We can add a slide at the end of this for you to review
Okay.
that
yeah.
information.
Get a
That'd be
hold of me via email is probably the best way at patrick.hayes@choiceprop.com. And we'll take it from there. We'll
And
get
then-
your property in.
and
We'll do
then-
some vetting on our behalf, and we'll get back to you with kind of an estimated figure, and we'll try and get in front of the board and see what we can do for you.
Yep. And Johanna, you're always available to help get people in touch with Patrick or Walt as well. So,
Absolutely.
well, I want to thank you both for taking a few moments to tell us about Choice, and we hope we can help make some of our associations additional money. So with that, I will say goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank
everybody.
you. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.